tonight we are going to reveal our 5 favorite books of 2023 that we've read ourselves. And feel free to comment about the titles as we reveal them. And what we're going to do, we're going to do them one at a time. And for the people who said they love the video, Gwen Hicks, thank you so much. Our video production manager, George Powell, does all our video productions, and he does a great job. All of our promotional videos and all the things that you see that we do about the event that we have, and just that when we do the award show, that promo, he produces all those videos. And the intro and the outro for the show, he produced those too. So we are going to get started. We're going to be talking about our 5 favorite books for 2023. And Rhonda and I don't necessarily read the same kinds of books. I like reading. I read almost exclusively fiction. Occasionally, I will read a bio, memoir. But I like a good novel. I like historical fiction. I like mainstream fiction. I like mysteries, thrillers. Those are my favorite.
We do read a lot of the same types of books, but I love a good memoir.
Okay. Did I read any memoirs this year? I don't think I did. I heard about some good ones, but I just had so many. My to be read shelf with fiction was so long, deep and wide, and I still have a lot there. I keep getting more, so I never really get a chance to get to anything else. But I have read some good memoirs, but I didn't read any this year. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna alternate, and Rhonda's gonna reveal her first title that she is saying that's her favorite. Now I have actual books. Do you have actual books, or are you gonna
No.
do the
Well, I did a lot of audiobooks this year because my schedule was so busy.
Right.
But I did read one physical book, and that's going to be my first book. Unfortunately, I'm in the process of moving, so I have no idea where that book is.
Oh,
But
okay. Well, but you can show it you can show the cover.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm going to at least show you the cover of the book.
Okay. And I have my physical book, so I'm going to show you the books, and then we're going to tell you why we like them. You know why?
Yes.
Just a little bit about them and why we like them. So you ready, Rhonda, to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So the first book I read, let me make sure I can see myself here. Okay, so the first book I want to show you is called The Stranger He Knew by Debbie Stokes. And
okay.
This was a debut novel for this author. This is probably one of the few this is the only independent author who's on my list. Not that I don't like independent authors, but this story resonated with me because it wasn't exactly a love story. It was more like an adventure story. The main character in this story was somebody who lost his job, and he actually went through being homeless for 2 years until he was able to come out in the end and find a job, and something wonderful happens to him. But I'll just leave it at that. But
okay.
I just thought that it was such a good story for it. I mean, was it perfectly written? Yeah, there probably could have been some places that she could have fixed, and we talked about that already. She was actually somebody I had featured on the Horizons Author Lounge. But just the way she told this story, she did a really good job with it. And her main character was a man and was a white man. So somebody totally different than who she actually is. And I thought she did a great job with it. And the way she was able to navigate telling that story, I felt like she probably interviewed some homeless people and to find out why they were down on their luck. So I liked what she did with the story. And I wish her a lot of success in the future in writing even more. So this was one of the reasons why I put this particular book on my list.
Okay, now tell us the title again and the author's name.
It's called The Stranger He Knew. Oops.
Okay.
And The Stranger He Knew by Debbie Stokes.
Debbie Stokes. Okay, I hadn't heard about that one. So
yes,
that one,
it's a new book. I believe she just released it this year.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna check that one out. I had to put that on my list. I'm always up for a good book.
Yes.
Always. And because I'm always reading. So I'm just making a note here so that I can remember the book. Okay. My first favorite book is The Landlord by Brandon Massey. So let me see if I can
Mm.
get, let me put it back some maybe so you can see the whole thing. I got my microphone there, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay, bring it back this
Can you
way.
see it? Can you see it?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The Landlord by Brandon Massey. Now, Brandon Massey, he's been on the show a couple of times. He's written multiple books. He does mysteries. He does mystery thriller. Sometimes he does supernatural. This book wasn't supernatural. It was just it was just naturally just on the edge. He can tell a story. I probably read 10 of Brandon's books. He's a really good writer. So in this story, this couple get what they think is a good deal on a house to rent, and the husband is trying to uh, go the self-employed route, and so his income is not that steady, and she wants to be in a certain neighborhood.
Mm.
So this particular house, the rental price is exceptional for the neighborhood that she so desperately wants. And so they borrow some money from her father because I think they have to do first and last. They borrow that from the father. So the landlord in this book is just plain crazy, and he drives them crazy, and just it's just I liked it because it was just one episode of just craziness, all the things that he put them through after the other, and then it ended well. So this was a good book. Brandon, I haven't read a bad book by Brandon, and I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. But this one is it's not my favorite of his, but it's in the top 3 or 4. This is just really it was a great story. So that's my first one. So what is your next one, Rhonda?
All right. Now, believe it or not,
Okay.
we mentioned earlier that I like to read memoirs. And I had heard about this one particular person's memoir, and I was a little intrigued. I wanted to see what he had to say. So this next book is called The Book of Jose by Fat Joe. And for
Okay.
those
Now
of
who's
you
Fat
who,
Joe?
he's a rapper.
Oh, okay. So I'm not
Yeah.
keyed
Well, I
keyed
don't do
into
a
the rap.
lot of rap like I used to, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I said, I'm always intrigued by a good story. In fact, after reading this one, I read Lil Boosie's memoir. I was very surprised about that because I didn't think I'd be interested in his story. But I said, let me see what he has to say. But this
Okay.
book, this book was really good because he I didn't realize how much he had gone through growing up. And I'm not just talking about being poor, but just the whole family dynamic that he had growing up, and the relationship that he had with his brother, and then how he moved from kind of being the rough kid, the kid who was always fighting, the kid who would take your life if he had to moving into the rap game, and then how he helped other people. Once he was where he was comfortable, how he helped other people, and then when he went to prison, and then when he got back out of prison, how he had to rebuild his life and rebuild his finances and so forth. He even talked about how he met his wife and how his wife held him to a certain standard, and he was in love with her. So even though he had never loved anybody else like that, he decided he needed to live to this standard that his wife required for him. And so I really enjoyed the story, actually more than I thought I would. But he had a very intriguing story, so I was pleasantly surprised by this book.
Oh, okay. Well, Fat Joe. The Book of Jose, right?
Yes, the Book
That
of
was the
Jose.
title. Okay. Well, maybe I'll look him up. like I said, I'm not clued into the whole rap culture, but I know, and the names are all street names. I'll just say it like that.
Right.
They're not named their own names. They all have nicknames, street names that they call themselves,
I
or
wouldn't
rap
know his
names,
real name
whatever
if he
they call
walked up to me and told me.
them. So, okay, that's number two for you. Now, number two for me is Hold You Down by Tracy Brown. And that rhymes, but
It does.
um Tracy Brown, we lost her this year, and she was an exceptional writer. Um, she wrote mostly urban fiction, and I actually read two of her books. Our book club read two of them, and one came out last year and one came out this year. Hold You Down, and then Single Black Female was the other book that we read, and the club loved them both. She can tell a story of a relationship dynamic. That was her real gift, to develop a relationship in a book. And it was two sisters in this book, and they grew up together, and they had opposite personalities. One was kind of flashy, and the other one was more traditional, more just more conservative in terms of just her lifestyle and what she wanted to do with her life. And they both had sons, but this one was really good. It was sad. It had some sad parts in it, and it just took you down every emotion. It tugged at every emotion. You laughed. It had some laugh out loud stuff. It had some tear jerking parts, and Tracy, she could tell a story, and she is going to be missed. Her storytelling ability is going to be missed in the literary world, because she was just really a great writer.
Absolutely.
So you can't go wrong with any of Tracy's books. One of her um, white lines is like in my top 20 books of all time by her. It's a really good story. But I've read several of her books, but her last two, Hold You Down and Single Black Female, are really good if you just want. And I'm not an urban fiction reader, but I read Tracy Brown. There's a couple of people. I read Quan, you know, because it still has to be, still has to have a story. I don't just want a bunch of curse words and graphic sex.
Oh, I
Some
agree
of
with
them are
that.
just, that's really what they do. They focus on, but Quan and Tracy Brown tell really good stories. So that's my second one.
Yeah, I'm no prude. I don't mind a sex scene, but I just feel like there should be a storyline and that the sex scene should make sense. When it starts to get gratuitous, I get a little irritated.
Yeah,
That's
that's what
all.
I mean. I don't have a problem with sex, but when it's just like over the top graphic and it really doesn't add anything to the
Right.
story, it's just them trying to, tell you which positions and all that, which what equipment, some toys, whatever. You know, I don't need that in the story, but
Right, right.
and I rather have some character development. That's really what I like. So
I agree. I agree. And
what's your
so
third book?
the fun thing, I'm glad you said character development, is I don't always have to love the characters. I just want the
Right, me
characters
either.
to make me feel something.
Yeah, because
So
sometimes the bad guy, the antagonist, if you can write a good antagonist character, you can love to hate the person. I mean,
absolutely.
so no, it's about the character development. It can be, they don't have to be the protagonist or the good person, in the story at all. They can be,
Absolutely.
people are complicated. They're not all good or all bad, for the most part. There are some people
Right.
who are
And
all
I and
bad
I
guys.
love a complicated character. You
Yeah,
don't know
me
whether to love
too.
them or hate them. And
Right.
so that brings me to my third
Okay.
book, Black
Okay.
Girls Must Be Magic.
Okay. By
And
Jane Allen.
actually, yeah, by Jane Allen. And actually, I read all three of the books in this series. I believe it started with Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, and then Black Girls Must Be Magic, and then Black Girls Must Have It All, I believe was the title of the last one.
Okay.
And um I enjoyed the series because it kind of holds a mirror up to what a lot of professional Black women go through. And like when we were talking about characters and character development, I didn't always agree with the main character. I thought that sometimes that she was a little over the top with the way that she responded to certain situations. And I felt that often that she was closed off when people were honestly trying to reach out a hand to help her. But I believe that that's how we are in real life. Sometimes we overreact to some things. Sometimes we are so ready for someone to apply the angry Black woman syndrome stereotype to us that we start to, we expect it so much that we start to react before it's even proven that that's what the person was doing. Sometimes it's not that the person's racist. Sometimes they may just not know, or sometimes they just could be a butthole and they're a butthole to everybody, not just Black
That's
women.
true. That's
So
true.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes
Some
we have to
people
analyze
are
the
buttholes,
situation.
like you say, with everybody.
Right, right. So
So,
sometimes we have to analyze the situation before we automatically think that somebody's treating us a certain way because we're a Black woman. And I think that those were lessons that the character in these three books, I believe that's what she went through. And so like I said, I enjoyed the series and made me want to keep reading. But at the same time, it really made me sit down and really think about how I respond to things as a Black woman. And do I sometimes automatically pivot to the racial side or the stereotypical side because I'm automatically thinking that's how they're treating me, or am I actually analyzing the situation to see if this is really the way that they're treating me versus just who they are? Because I think when you understand the situation better, it helps you to move a little bit more strategically. So that was one of the reasons why I enjoyed this series. So I showed the one book, but it was kind of representative of the series.
okay. And she was on the show as well.
Absolutely.
So I haven't read that series yet, but I'll try one. Well, when it's a series, I always like to start with the first book.
Yeah, I started with the first book and then I went through them, and I actually think I held up the wrong book because I didn't want to show Black Girls Must Be Magic first. I wanted to show Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. I
Okay,
believe
that's the
this was
first
the
one.
first, yeah, I believe this was the first one, and then Magic came next, and then Have It All came after that.
Oh, okay.
But they all start with Black Girls Must.
Okay. Now, I think that's great.
Oh, and by the way, the covers are beautiful.
They are beautiful. They are
Yes,
very
I really
beautiful.
love the covers.
They are very colorful. This is she does the pinks and purples and blues.
Yes.
Mhm. Really nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my next book, my third book is Anywhere You Run by Wanda Morris. And Rhonda Morris, Wanda has been on the show. And this one is historical fiction. And I read two of her books. I read this one and I read All Her Little Secrets, which is not historical, it's the contemporary. And I went back and forth. In fact, when we were making our list, I had them both on there. And I said, I'm not going to do but one by an individual author. So I had to decide. This one is historical fiction. It's two sisters. And it's set in the 60s. And there's a dynamic where it's set in the civil rights and when a lot of the killings and murders were going on, and she gets caught up in that. She has to leave town. And she's like running from the law for most of the book. And she has a boyfriend who's, I guess I can tell this part because it's close to the beginning of the book. Her boyfriend is white, and so that creates a whole nother dynamic. They're running together, and in the 60s, that's you stand out. It's not like you can be inconspicuous. You have to they had to try to make themselves inconspicuous. It was really, really well written. And her other book was too. She's a very good writer. So I enjoyed this one, Anywhere You Run by Wanda Morris. And I think this this book or her other book made some lists. I saw this one or the other one on some best books of the year, something, some other people's books. So congratulations to her. Because I don't think she's written that many books. She doesn't have a long list of books that she's written. Let me see. Let me look in the front and see if her other book titles are in here. She only has one other book title in here, so I don't know. She, she's a good writer. Wanda Morris.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I don't think I've heard of that one. Was she on the show?
She was on the show.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mhm.
You have to find that one then. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both good. You can't go wrong with either one.
Okay. Well, we're on number 4 now,
Yeah, we're
right?
on number 4 now.
Okay. So my fourth book was The Johnson Sisters by Tressa Henderson.
Okay.
And I enjoyed this one. Normally, I always say, I'm tired of the ensemble books where, where there are 4
4
best friends
friends.
or 4 characters. Well, this was about sisters. And I actually enjoyed the story because they all had such distinct personalities. And some of the sisters just made me laugh every time they said something, but they were all going through something. So Tressa could have easily broken up this story to be 5 different stories because each of the sisters had their own story. And but at the same time, they had something that brought them together. So there were a lot of grudges in the story, and the way the grudges came out, it wasn't something that where you were reading and like, oh, come on, where did that come from? They came out so gradually that when it really peaked, when the plot really peaked, you're like, oh wow. And you just wanted, for me, I was listening to it. So I just wanted to keep listening. But even if this were a physical book, I would have wanted to keep reading. Just because, like I said, all of the secrets that they had that they didn't want their sisters to know. And the one thing that they just didn't talk about that really kind of in a way held them together, and if they had talked about it, it would have torn them apart, and it did come out and it did almost tear them apart. It was just a beautiful dynamic between the sisters. So this was a story that will make you laugh in a lot of places, but then it also makes you think about your own family dynamic. So I really enjoyed this book.
Okay, now Tressa is a Henderson.
Yes, Tressa Henderson.
Does she have new other books?
I did not look. I want to. Maybe she did. Let me check.
I hadn't heard of her.
I don't even remember how I found this book. I think I might have just been flipping through my Audible and looking for books. And
Okay.
I came across this one, but oh yeah, she does have other books. She has The
Okay.
Johnson Sisters, A Brother's Divide, My Man's Best Friend, Big Girls, Big Girls Drama 1 and 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so she has quite a few books. Null and Void, but The Johnson Sisters is actually an older book. It was released in 2015.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's why I
so
said I
the
just
book
happened to
doesn't
run
have to be
across.
new
It
because
doesn't.
sometimes you have books. I have so many to be read books. Sometimes I don't get to them for 2 or 3 years, and then
I
I'll say,
have
okay,
I have to be read books I bought when I first wrote Cheating in the Next Room, and that was 20 years ago.
yeah, I
I'm
had some
gonna
books.
eventually get to
So
it.
if you buy books, you don't necessarily get to all of them, and then sometimes it's something might encourage you, prompt you to read one of them, and you go back because I have some that I keep looking at. I said, I've got to read this book and I haven't read them yet. So, uh, but because I keep getting new ones. But anyway, it's all good. If I bought the book, that means at least I supported the author, even if I didn't get to read it yet. So, so next, number 4 for me is All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby.
Nice cover.
Nice cover. And this author, he's written some other books, but this is I ran across this. You know how you run across books, and I hope to get him on the show at some point. He uh he does this is a mystery thriller type book, and it's a lot of twists and turns. There's a one main character that's a sheriff, and there's some killings going on in this small town, and the setting is Virginia, like out in the the western part of the Virginia, where
Mhm.
so he mentioned some places in Virginia that I know because I'm from Virginia. But this was a really, really good book. It was. I read this one on the cruise.
Okay,
Uh,
okay, yeah,
mhm.
you
Yeah,
were
I was
reading
reading books.
somebody on that cruise.
Yeah, I read three books while I was on the cruise. This one, All Her Little Secrets. I read the other Wanda Morris book. I read that on the cruise as well. So it's really good. Really good writing. Uh, there's some like, oh my God moments. OMG. I can't believe that happened. He's really good at writing a thriller. So
Yes.
I enjoyed that immensely.
So,
Okay, Curtis Stevenson said he's currently reading Razor Blade Tears, and it's by the
oh,
same author.
okay.
He has another book called Razor Blade Tears that was recommended by he kind of blew up because Barack Obama named his book Razor Blade Tears as one of his favorite books. Anytime somebody like him, somebody
Right.
famous says your book they really liked it. That's what happened with Walter Mosley. Bill Clinton, when he was president, said he enjoyed one of Walter Mosley's early books, like one of the early books, because
Oh, I
Bill
love
Clinton
Walter
was in
Mosley.
office 30 years ago. And that's what put him on the map.
Yes.
So book our fifth book, we we both picked one book that was the same out of our list of five.
Love it when that
And
happens.
and this is on a lot of people's list. The House of Eve by Cynthia Johnson. This was an amazing book.
It was touching. Oh my
It
goodness.
was. It was an amazing book. And this book cover is awesome.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. But it was picked by Reese Witherspoon's book club. And it came out. I went back and looked because I said it feels like this book has been out for 2 years. But it came out in January of this year. But it has made the rounds because it's such an exceptional story.
Yeah,
So
and
well
also if
written.
you look on here, it was Reese's book club, but it's also New York Times bestseller.
Okay, see, when I bought this book, it wasn't on the bestseller list yet.
Right.
So see, they
Apparently it's
added
on
that to
there.
the
Yeah,
graphic. I got it early when it first came out, so it hadn't made the list. So yeah, New York Times bestseller. So The House of Eve, that's our book number five, and we both picked that one as one of our top five for 2023.
yes,
So you all get to see some of the books that we've written. And if you're looking for a good book, these we wouldn't be saying that they were our favorites if they weren't exceptional. And people who are avid readers are always looking for a good book to read.
absolutely.
So
What are you reading right now?
what am I reading right now? What am I reading right now? Oh, I'm finishing up a John Grisham book on my
Okay,
other book club, the Boys of Biloxi. And I like John Grisham. I like some of his books more than others, but I was reading that because of the book club pick. And it's not, you know, far be it from me to criticize uh, somebody who's, probably sold 100 million books. But this book, to me, his character development is not as solid as his other books.
gotcha, gotcha.
And it reads like it's almost written like too much of a third person, like almost like a news uh, reporter is writing the story instead of being told from the point of view of the characters. It's more,
I hear you.
kind of detached. And it's a lot of pages. It was 450. I'm
Oh my
still reading it.
goodness, I'm
I'm
surprised you
almost,
chose that one.
yeah. He could have cut out 100 of those pages. I'm just,
Wow.
but he can write, and he's John Grisham. So that's what I'm reading now. And I
Okay,
have, some other books that I'm planning to read. Of course, I'm always am.
right.
But I did want to share before we, because our 7:30 guest wasn't able to come on. He had a family emergency, and we'll try to get him back on a future show. So I did want to share that I received this in the mail. Rashonda Tate Billingsley has a new book coming out in January called The Queen of Sugar Hill. And because it's kind of green, it's like a hologram. But she sent me the box. This is a novel about Hattie McDaniel, the actress. And
Very
so this
nice.
book comes out in the end of January. And in the box, there's all kinds of good stuff. Let's see. There was a personal card. There was a personal card that is a note to me, and she wrote me a nice note about the book coming out January 30th. She will be on the show. We've already booked her for early February to talk about the book. We've already booked her for that.
Wonderful.
There's some popcorn in it. Um, there's a fan. Let's see what's on the fan. But is it do anything? No, it's just a regular fan. I can't open it, but anyway, there's that. There's
You might
some
not be
little.
opening it right.
I must not be, but I can't figure it out how to do it. So anyway, uh, there's some perfume, I guess. Yeah, I guess air perfume. There is a keychain that says Hollywood Rector keychain. There's some little there's a card information about her. Oh, this is about a mammogram. They I don't know if that's related to her. I don't know if but there's something about scheduling a mammogram in there. Um,
Okay.
Something with the Sisters Network. So there's more about the mammogram. So I guess that's something that Rashonda is focusing on. There's chocolates in here. And there is an advanced reading copy of the book, Hide with a Ribbon.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm. So I am planning to, of course, it's another book for me to read, but um, I appreciated getting that because I did not know I was going to get it. And then in the inside of the box, I don't know if I should show this. Yeah, the inside of the box it says, "I'd rather play a maid for $700 than be a maid for $7." And that's a quote from Hattie McDaniel. So she said when people criticize her for playing a role of a maid, well, that was how she dealt with that. So, um, that's my show and tell. Other than I do want to mention, and I know you're going to be talking about before our next guest, she's going to come on a little early. Our guest in the 8 o'clock segment is going to come on a little early. But I did want to just remind people about my new book that came out recently. And I did a reboot of the cover of the first installment. So this is the Genesis series. The first book is called The Genesis Files, and I did a reboot of the cover. Um, so it could be more complimentary of the sequel, which is Exodus from Treachery. And I'm getting really good reviews. And one thing that's happening, which is somewhat of a surprise, or maybe it shouldn't be. I guess, what prompted me to think about it differently and really appreciate it was when Eric LaSalle was on the show and he said he had a third book that he released. But before that, they re released two of his previous books that were older and it made those books sell. Well, the Genesis Files is selling again. It was dormant because it's been out for a while. But because of Exodus from Treachery, the Genesis Files, the sales, because you can read Exodus from Treachery as a standalone, but if you really want to know the backstory, you need to read the Genesis Files. So, the sales for both are going very well. I've already booked some book club discussion meetings with the new book. So for next year, so I'm excited about that. You put your mic on mute.
I didn't get a chance to tell you what book that I was reading, but I'm reading Viola Davis's book, Finding Me, which is really, really good. It starts
Okay.
a little heart-wrenching, but So
I
far,
heard
it's a
it
really
was.
captivating story. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard it that she really had a very
A very rough child.
traumatic
Yeah.
beginning. I did hear that. Now that's a memoir I might read.
Yeah. And
Now,
it's
have
a
you
little
read
lengthy,
Cicely
but it's really
Tyson?
good. I'm sorry?
Did you read Cicely Tyson's book?
I did not read her book yet.
Okay,
But
I
she
heard good
actually
things about
mentioned Cicely Tyson in the book. She said that, when she watched the biography of Miss Jane Pittman, and when she watched her go from a teen, from a child all the way to a 100-year-old woman, she knew that's when she wanted to be an actress.
Yeah, you have to be able to act to do that. And Cicely Tyson did that. I actually had that on my DVR to rewatch because I saw it when it was out, when it first came out. But I haven't seen it in many years. So I have it on my DVR to watch. Now you are going to be telling us about okay, Tony Benita said they are both in my to be read. Boy, I think she's talking about my book. So thank you, Tony. So she cried. She said she cried all the way through Viola's book.
Yeah.
Is it one of
I mean,
those?
it'll take you there.
Okay. And somebody, Marla Morris said she read Sidney Poitier's book. So she said she needs to read that. And Stephanie Burnham said Finding Me was one of the best memoirs she read last year. So, okay, so y'all are making me get it. Finding Me.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Now you're going to tell us before our guest comes on. You're going to tell
Right.
us about
Yeah,
your.
I'm just excited to tell you all about the Black History Month Literary Weekend. It is coming back. It's going to be February 22nd through the 24th. This year, we are featuring 10 authors, and we are also going to have special guests Marita Golden, who's been on the show, and Tiffany Warren. And you all may, if you have seen the new Christmas movie that's on BET Plus called Favorite Son Christmas, then you'll be familiar with Tiffany Warren, because that book, she's the executive producer of that movie, and the movie is based on her book. So she has actually been killing it. I believe this is her second or third movie that she has, or second or third book that she's turned into a movie. So we're going to be having her as a special guest as well. And then I also have a little promo to show you all what we're going to be doing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
Now, do we have sound?
I don't know. Can you hear it?
No.
I don't
No.
know how to make you hear it. I
I
don't know how
don't
to
know.
make you hear it.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I mean, it's up.
Because
I
you have
can
the
hear it.
control. Can you hear it?
I hear it. Can ask the people if they can hear it.
Oh, the audience, can you all hear the video that Rhonda is playing? Can you hear sound? If you all can let us know, because I can't hear it, but it might just be on my end. It shouldn't be though. Hear sound?
I don't know what to.
No,
Well,
Tony says no. Tony Benita says no. She can't hear.
I don't know how to do it.
And it's 90 seconds. Well, I'll tell
Yeah.
you what.
Well,
I'll tell you
I don't.
what. What we'll
I don't.
do is we'll send it to me and I'll get Robert to play it on the next show,
When is the next show?
January 2nd.
Okay, I'm about to say we're not meeting next week.
No, no. And for the audience, we are
Yeah.
next week because of the holidays, we're taking off. So next Tuesday, there won't be a show. Our next show will be January 2nd, which is the day after New Year's, which is a Tuesday because New Year's Day is on a Monday. So just send it to me. Then I'll get Robert, our media manager, to
Yeah.
sync it
Yeah, because I
up
don't know
to
why you
play
can't.
it.
Yeah, I don't know why you weren't able to hear it because I heard it on this side and all the volume was turned up, so I'm not sure what happened, but it's all good. Anyway, the Black History Month Literary Weekend is going to be February 22nd through the 24th here in Maryland. On the 22nd, we'll be doing Coffee with an Author at PJ's Coffee House. On February 23rd, we're going to be doing visits to area high schools. And then we're going to do a book chat and signed at Barnes and Noble in the Bowie Town Center. And then on the 24th will be the Ivory and Cream Affair, where we'll have our special guests, like I said, the 10 authors, and then we'll also have our special guests, Tiffany Warren, as well as Marita Golden, who are both really huge. They're huge all over the place, but they're really huge over here in the DMV as well. So we're looking forward to an amazing time. We're going to be releasing the 8th and ninth grade essay contest. So if you have an 8th grader or a 9th grader, you want them to be a part of this essay contest because each winner will receive $300 and they'll be able to read their essay during the event. And if you have a child who is not in the DMV area, they can still participate. We will Zoom them in so that they can read their essay for the audience. So we have a lot going on. We're even going to have a fashion show at the brunch. We're bringing in a fashion designer from New York, and he is going to unveil one of his newest collections during the event. So
Oh, you
it's
have a
going to
lot
be,
going on.
yes, it's going to be amazing. So if you're in the DMV area or you're close to the DMV area, come on out because you're really going to enjoy it. And I will put the link in the description so you can get more information about the brunch.
And Tiffany's been on the show. It's been a while.
Yes, yes,
It's
it's
been
been
a
a
while. I
while.
think she was on like the first year doing that, the
Mhm.
first year of the show. We need to bring her back since she's so she can give us an update on all of her new activities. So,
Oh, okay.
um,
Oh, so Stephanie said you have to make sure share sound is on. I didn't know that. I don't even know where share sound is.
me either. So that's why I said let's just let Robert do it because he knows all the tech side of that. Not, I don't know. And it doesn't show up on share screen. There's not a share sound on.
No, no.
Uh
So we'll have Robert do it because I don't know. I don't use Zoom as much as I used to. I use StreamYard now.
yeah, a lot of people are using StreamYard. I was on an interview on StreamYard recently.
Oh, okay.
And I like some of the features because they have that countdown,
Mm-hmm.
and then they tell you they have it where it shows you that you're the person knows you're there. I don't know if it does that on Zoom. Like the host knows you're there. It tells you that. I like that.
Right.
So the only other thing I have before we bring on our guest, we'll bring her on a little bit early, our 8 o'clock guest, and I need to get a drink of water.
Yeah, I need some water too.
We've been posting photos from this year's National Black Book Festival for the last 6 or 7 weeks. We had about 500 photos and another 50 video reels, clips, and we've been posting. We're close to the end. We haven't finished. We're close to the end. We will have everybody's photos that we took, the authors, the participating authors, by the end of the year. So between now and the end of the year, everybody's photos will be posted. And I believe everybody who was there that was at their table at the time the photographer went around, and he went around the whole place, and he got a lot of good footage, excellent work that he did. He did close-ups of the authors, their tables. He did a lot of reels, interactions with the people who were shopping there, and good video clips we can use for our promos for next year. Next year's dates are October 17th through the 20, the 20, 17th through the 19th. I don't want to be adding dates on. 17th through the 19th. We already have confirmed Rashonda Tate Billingsley. Is she going by Tate or Tate now? I don't know. But anyway, you all know Rashonda. Um, she's going to be there as well as Quan. We've already confirmed Quan. We're working on some other featured authors for next year. And if you plan to register, registration opens January 1st. We've gotten a ton of interest in signing up for next year. I mean, people are chomping at the bit to sign up. And I guess it's because we sold out so early last year And we had 100 people after we were sold out that wanted to give vendor space.
Wonderful.
That's how much people wanted to come. So January 1st is when it opens. You can register with a $50 deposit. The early bird rate is between January 1st and March 31st. That's the most favorable rate and terms. And you don't have to pay the balance until the end of July. And that's when the rate is the lowest. And we normally get half of our registrations during that early bird. So we're half sold by the time end of March rolls around.